Director for CCSESA, and on behalf of the 58 county superintendents, I want to welcome you all this morning, and thank you for being here, and thank you for your commitment to this important effort. I think obviously the attendance is really impressive. I think that there are two main reasons for that. One is just how important this work is. This is really a critical time for the County Office of Education. People are looking to the county offices to connect with school districts on this local accountability LCFF system as it continues to develop and roll out. So the new template, the rubrics, how we use all that to improve instruction. You are the connection to the school districts, and really, I think it's remarkable. I know you were here last month, I talked about this, but there are 51 county offices of education that review and approve LCAPs. Every one of those 51 county offices is involved in this series of workshops, and as you see, many of them are sending teams. So we really do have a statewide effort to make this happen. Just the power of that is extraordinary. It's the people in this room that really can honor the commitment to make sure that we give this training support district leadership for every district in the state. So it's it's a very sincere thank you on behalf of the county superintendents for all of you being here. I do have one little favor to ask of you. The California Collaborative for Educational Excellence, CCEE, has contracted with 11 county offices to what they call regional leads on the aligned local trainings. One of the tasks for those 11 counties will be to develop and submit reports on how the county offices are reaching out to train and support every school district in the state. So Evan Mercado in our office will be working with those regional leads. They'll be reaching out to you to get that information. Obviously, it's critically important that we do that training and that support. But this is also a real opportunity for us to share with state organizations, state agencies, state policymakers, just the ongoing depth and breadth of the work and the relationship you have with your school district. So I know this will probably happen in January. I know you'll be really busy. Having said that, we really need your help to share that story of the work you're doing. The other reason that I think these are so successful, one obviously is the importance, the other is the quality of the training. It's really, again, I think, I'm not going to present it. Okay, I'm going to come to the RFP in a second. The materials that are being shared here are the work of staff from 40 different county offices of education that help develop, review, or present. The presenters here today will, in some cases, be the same as last one, but in some cases they'll be different. It's really an extraordinary collaborative effort, not only across county offices, but across the expertise within county offices, fiscal, curriculum, student services. Obviously, I believe people do vote with their feet, and the fact you're all here says it's been successful, and in January, actually, it's so successful that we're having to look for a new location because we want to make sure we can accommodate everybody that wants to do the workshop. So that is really an extraordinary credit to those who did the development and those that did the review and presenting. So I could just ask for a round of applause for people who put all the work to make this. Ultimately, I mean, it's great, and it's real helpful for you. The test is how useful is this to the school districts. I've already heard from 3 county offices of education who've already done their first training for school districts, and we've gotten great feedback and review about that. To the extent you're doing that, if you can let Sandra know, or Efren know, or me know about that experience, because we're routinely in conversations in Sacramento where people want to know how it's going. So that feedback is really helpful. I also need to offer a personal thank you, and also on behalf of Sandra, because over the last month we've done presentations at the AXA, CASBO, and CSBA conferences, and at every one of them we were able to say, well, if you're confused, you need more, have any questions, call your local county office, they got it. So thank you very much for that. The slide I skipped over is I want to give you the heads up that where we'll be moving 2017, obviously, as the rubric data will begin to be analyzed by communities up and down the state, it appears that one of the yeah, okay, I want to make sure what they said there. Oh, it's 42 counties, okay. I said 40. So the RFP, it'll be going out probably this week. The simulations at the state level indicate that the area where we'll be showing the most difficulty in terms of rubrics or the improvement relates to students with disabilities. So we're going to be sending an RFP asking for county or county office of education in tandem to work on developing draft guidance that we can bring to CISC and SPSSC and our steering committees and our partners in all this, the state board, access, school boards, to then eventually bring to our board of directors in April. So we have guidance for school districts, guidance for county superintendents and county staff. Okay, they showed up with a red, now what? And so we'll be sending that out tomorrow. We're going to ask for responses in January, so hopefully you'll be able to collaborate and either with other counties or within your office to respond to that. Finally, I talked about the presentations for AXA, CASBO, CSBA. It is important to know we are not in this alone. There's really been a dramatic change over the last couple of years in terms of everybody working together to make sure we have a consistent, aligned message. We had staff from West Ed, AXA here today. We had staff from the State Board of Education. And in fact, it's now my pleasure to turn over the mic to David Sapp, who is the Deputy Policy Director of the State Board of Education, to share information about the rollout of the evaluation data. So thank you very much for coming, and I hope you have a great day. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. I just want to thank Peter and actually echo what he just said about the thanks and appreciation for all of you being here. This is really important, and it's really important that you all are here. And so on behalf of the board and administration, I just want to express the thanks for all of you taking time to come here and sort of get the training and then also get up to speed around what the expectations are. I want to provide sort of an update on what you all can expect in terms of the way this new system will roll out in terms of when districts and when you all will start being able to access the initial round of performance data that will be released early next year. Before going into that though, I just sort of want to name and acknowledge something that's real and true, is that this is hard. This is a lot of new information. This is a very different way of doing things for everybody, from the local level all the way up to the state. And so I think it's important to acknowledge that. But also just note the importance of the work that you all do and the role that you all play within our system. The counties are the agents of the state. They're sort of the first line of support and assistance for the districts out there that are grappling with all of these changes. And so the work that you all are doing today, the prior trainings and the one that will be in January, is critical as we move forward under this new system to having consistency about how this is implemented and communicated to the field. And on that note, just want to emphasize the importance of consistency and calibration. I think that that's what today's training and the training next in January are going to focus on, that we're all on the same page and have a consistent message about what the expectations are. How is this going to be helpful? How can this be used effectively? I think it's going to be very important that we're all on the same page, and just want to share with you that at the state level, we're also working on that front. The California Department of Education, CCSESA staff, and some of the key members of the steering committees, the state board, and also the California Collaborative for Educational Excellence are coordinating on some of the key hard questions that are coming up and trying to make sure that we're all on the same page around what the right answer is and start pushing those out through all the different platforms that we have available. So again, this is just to show the importance of making sure that we're communicating consistently across the state. So this gets to the rollout in terms of how you all can communicate to your districts if they're asking, when are we going to see this? What's it going to look like? As you all may know, the current design is that this will be a web-based system, this new accountability tool. Districts will be able to go in there and see how they're doing on the state indicators, as well as to be able to input their local performance data for the local performance indicators. At a point later in 2017, the web-based system will launch publicly. So any member of the public will be able to log onto the system and search by school or district and see the data that are available. Prior to that, you all and districts and charters, all LEAs, will have a preview period, as has happened with most rollouts of state data, to be able to access the system, look at how your data looks so that you can start thinking about communication, as well as getting a head start on that planning process for the next LCAP, because the expectation is that this is going to be a helpful tool that will support use of the new LCAP template. So we don't want to hold back making that information available to LEAs while we make sure the website's pretty for the public launch. So what you all can expect, I believe that most counties at this point have already enrolled their rubrics coordinators, what it's being called. So it's the person who will have the credential to be able to log onto the system, be able to access and upload data. In particular, this is important during this preview period before it launches publicly, because only someone with that credential will be able to see that data, because it's not publicly available on the website now. We expect that within the week, we will be, the department will be sending out correspondence to all LEAs, asking them to enroll a rubrics coordinator. There had been some discussion previously about wanting to get the data out prior to the holidays, so getting people to enroll, and as soon as they enroll, they would be able to start seeing their data. At this time, that is sort of being shifted back for two reasons. First, the holidays, and second, that we've gotten some really good feedback that we want to make sure that there's useful support documents for districts and you all, so that once you see your data, how to make sense of it. And those aren't ready to go right at this moment. We expect they will be in early January. So we expect that the correspondence to all LEAs will say, here's how you can enroll your rubrics coordinator. If you do, at a date certain in January, hypothetical, please don't quote me on this, let's say January 10th. If you enroll by January 10th, the website will be live and you will be able to access your data. And so that's where it would be the process. If someone hasn't enrolled their rubrics coordinator by that date certain, they wouldn't be able to access it right away, but as soon as they did enroll, they would then be able to access their own data and becoming familiar with it. So that's what we're thinking in terms of timing and rollout. And two key questions that have come up. The first is, in this preview period, will districts be able to see all the data of other districts? Ordinarily, it has been the case that, in the preview period, everyone could see CAF scores for everyone else. At this point, and again, this may change, but at this point, we're thinking preview of that district's data only. There are some reasons for that, but basically, the LEA would be able to see its own data initially, not necessarily be able to see everything statewide. The second question we've gotten is, what about counties? Will you be able to see the data for the districts that you're supporting? And the answer at this point, again, is yes. We expect that sort of at that point in time, counties will have access to see the performance data for their districts. There's a question of implementation of exactly what that will look like. The goal is that, down the road, there might be a really handy-dandy interface where the county logs in and gets to see it all in one place. Probably not going to be there from day one. But in some form or another, whether it's being able to just input the name of your district and you would have, any district and have the credential to see it, or access to the underlying raw data file to be able to sort of pull out the data for the districts you want to look at. The expectation is that that information will be available to the LCAP and rubrics teams in the counties during this preview period as well. So just wanted to, before we get into the what and the how, we know we've gotten a lot of questions. I've gotten at least 10 inquiries from 10 different counties of offices of education. I know CCSESA staff has, as well as has the department. Wanted to share that on the front end of this training, just so that you all, again, consistent communication of expectations. If your districts are asking you, this is the best information we have. As with anything technology related, it's subject to change. If the web developers get sick, it might slip a day or two. But that's the best, most current information we have at this time. Before I close, I just want to see if there are any questions. Again, I hope I covered everything, but since I'm here, if there was anything that was unclear, just wanted to open the floor if there are any questions.
For county offices, in the past, our testing coordinators have been given access to this kind of information. So for example, our alt-ed programs have access, but then those of us who have the district oversight responsibilities do not get that information. And so I just want to clarify that when you ask for evaluation coordinators at the county office level, that you are asking for both programs, evaluation coordinator, and county office oversight for LCAP coordinator. Does that make sense?
I understand what you're saying, that there is a single person who's designated with that credential. That is something that I don't think any county is structured exactly the same. And so I think that's something that each county will need to start working through. There is, again, this idea that the person who enrolls can then share that information, the way that it's set up, but there's one person who is the designated point person. And that's gonna be an annual review, an annual process to make sure that that's the right person each year going forward.
And Lisa, it was sent to the county superintendent to make that decision in terms of who would be that contact person.
Thank you.
All right, I wanted to very quickly provide you a couple other updates since our November training, but before I do that, I want to make sure that you all found your way to the presenter's agenda. Within the presenter's agenda, you have links to everything, including making a copy of the slides. So if you haven't made your way into the presenter's agenda, I would encourage you to do so. The link is right on the front page of your agenda at the bottom, as well as within the first slide. One of the great opportunities that we had this week was to share, well, actually, we shared last week, the set of materials that you have in front of you today with state board staff as well as with CDE. And as a result of that, we were able to make some revisions to make sure that everything that you're receiving today is absolutely current. There are a couple of examples where we have made updates since the first training. And you will see those incorporated in here as well today. So one of the documents that Cindy Kazanis made available to us on Tuesday is included as a link on the presenter's agenda. We didn't get it in time to include it in the packet, but what it shows is for each one of the state indicators, the source of data and how EL, English learners, will be defined for that particular indicator. So a new helpful resource for all of you. A couple other pieces by way of updates. Several of you attended the RAND meeting, but that is a limited group. And so we have attached in the presenter's agenda Jenny Singh's update that she made that included additional information from what we provided at the first session in relation to graduation rate, suspension rate, English learner, as well as college and career indicator. So those updates are included on the presenter's agenda. You will have a link to her presentation. In addition, the LASSO office is in the process of developing a document that will help districts and county office staff navigate the new Word document that represents the LCAP template. And so there are some challenges with the new format, and so they're creating a document that will help for those who will be building that within the Word format. And then an update on the e-template. It also, in addition to the rubrics, is being developed by San Joaquin, and it will have data from the prior year's template to be migrated into the new system, and their goal is to complete that by the beginning of February. So on your agenda, you see a copy of the plan for today. The specific objectives that we have set out to accomplish are included on the presenter's agenda. Our goal really is to help you walk away with some new tools to take back and use with districts. One of the pieces originally on the plan for today was the academic indicator, but when that was delayed by CDE and the state board, we looked back at the feedback from all of you in the first session to see what were some other topics that you really wanted to see addressed. And one of those topics was stakeholder engagement. And so that was added, a request was sent out to CISC members across the state, and two volunteered to share some of the resources that they have been using with districts. We'll start this time with a conceptual understanding of the local performance indicators and go through those that have been adopted by the board at this point. We'll come back to that in January to take a look at state priorities 2 and 3. The longest portion of our day today is really what are now the implications for all of this on county office support of districts as we begin to wrap our heads around the idea of differentiated support and intensive intervention. And we will end the day with an opportunity for county office teams to get together, gather together in various parts of the room to consider and reflect on the implications of everything so far, or the way in which you share information with districts, as well as maybe the way you are structured and how that may need to change moving forward with the work to come. In terms of housekeeping items, we plan to break about 12:15 for lunch. The restrooms are in the entry area where you came in. We will use timers as much as possible at the breaks, and we have created another Google Doc that seemed to work well for questions. That link is found on your presenter's agenda, and any questions as you go through today, if you can tie those to the specific section of the day in which they came, then we can work to develop responses to those. All of the responses from the last session are will be shared at the next training because they were tied to the LCAP template. And we want to make sure we take the opportunity to vet our answers across agencies, so those are being shared with CDE, state board staff, and others. Okay.